Morning, and welcome to the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council's Program, Finance, and Administration Committee, or PFAC, meeting. I am Adam Levine, NYMTC's Executive Director, and today, Chair of PFAC. This meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on the NYMTC website within the next 2 weeks. Today's meeting is available by webinar as well as in person at the NYMTC office located at 25 Beaver Street in Lower Manhattan. For the meeting audience who are on the webinar, your lines will remain muted throughout the meeting. The chat pod is being monitored by NYMTC staff. During the public participation section of the agenda, registered speakers will be called on in the order of their registration. Registered speakers who are participating by webinar will be called on and their lines unmuted for their remarks. At this time, I will begin with the roll call. When I say your agency, I ask that each representative state your name and the NYMTC principal you are representing. First, the voting members. New York State Department of Transportation.
Present.
Lisa Cataldo, representing Commissioner Marie-Therese Dominguez.
Thank you. New York City Department of Transportation.
Present. My bad. Here at transportation automatically. Assume it's us. Sorry.
Thank you, Paul. New York City Department of City Planning.
Yes, here. Connor Clark.
Metropolitan Transportation Authority.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tiana Grimes, representing Jano Libra.
Thank you. Nassau County.
Good morning. Joe Cuomo, representing Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman.
Thank you. Suffolk County.
This is Chris Chatterton, representing Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine.
Thank you. Rockland County.
Pat Gurdon, representing Rockland County Exec Ed Day.
Thank you. Putnam County.
Good morning. Barbara Barossa, representing County Executive Kevin Byrne.
Thank you. And Westchester County.
Good morning. Craig Lader, representing Westchester County Executive Ken Jenkins.
Great. Now for the advisory members. Port Authority of New York and New Jersey.
Good morning. Jay Sheffield here, representing Rick Cotton, the Executive Director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey.
Thank you. New Jersey Transit. Okay. North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority.
Melissa Hayes here, representing Executive Director David Barron.
Thank you. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Okay. Federal Transit Administration. Federal Highway Administration.
Good morning, everyone. Gadamani, representing New York Division Administrator Rick Markey.
Thank you. And United States Environmental Protection Agency.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lily Black, representing Administrator Michael Martucci at the United States Environmental Protection Agency.
Thank you. By my count, under our operating procedures, we have a quorum for today's meeting. I will now provide you with the Executive Director's report. The following are some of the noteworthy events that have taken place since our last meeting in August. It has been a typically busy summer into autumn here at NYMTC, and here are several highlights of the extraordinary work we have underway. Our September Council meeting saw the approval and adoption of NYMTC's Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, as well as the Regional Transportation Plan and Congestion Management Process Status Report. These federally required plans ensure the continuing improvement and maintenance of our vast and vital transportation network for years to come. In the case of the TIP, over 900 projects and studies totaling more than $39 billion are included, while the Regional Transportation Plan, moving forward 2055, embodies the vision of you, our members, as well as the traveling public, of what this network can and should be. Turning our attention to the New York Best Practice Model, or NYBPM, this is our activity-based travel model covering the 28-county metropolitan area. An updated base year 2019 model, which integrates an upgraded truck model, is very near completion and will be rolled out soon. This version will also include previously completed enhancements. In addition to this work, our modeling team met with representatives from the National University of Singapore modeling team for a discussion about the NYBPM. We were also happy to be able to provide New York State DOT with additional model data to assist in the development of one of their major projects. On the Survey Community of Practice front, the Community of Practice, or COP, brings our members together to share best practices and harmonize approaches to travel surveys. A meeting with the full COP was held on September 24th with an agenda that included a presentation by New York State DOT and Oak Ridge National Laboratory on the National Household Travel Survey. The focus was on how the survey can be used in conjunction with our members' own surveys and other data alignment issues. At the request of one member agency, guidance was developed for aligning the coding of modes across surveys and over time. This guidance was presented at the meeting, and about 25 representatives from various member agencies were in attendance. The next survey community of practice is planned for early 2026. As many of you know, NYMTC is a repository for a large amount of transportation data, much of which is available on our website, www.nymtec.org. The newest addition to that trove of data comes in the form of an interactive dashboard that allows users to visualize county-level socioeconomic and demographic data in the NYMTC region. The dashboard includes data and trends related to population, income, households, employment, and other demographic information, and was developed in our technical group by German Hernandez, Jesse Ho, Husang Han, and Chester Gross, led by Assistant Director Munesh Patel. So take a trip to nymtec.org and check it out. In September, NYMTC selected 6 graduate-level students from universities across New York and New Jersey to participate in one-year academic fellowships in transportation planning as part of our September 11th Memorial Program for Regional Transportation Planning. NYMTC established the program to honor the memory of Ignatius Adanga, Charles Lesperance, and Siwong Shum, the 3 employees we lost during the World Trade Center attacks in 2001. This program has been called a game changer by previous graduates, and competition for the fellowships was particularly strong this year, with 8 to 10 times as many applicants as in recent years. We are pleased and proud when we announced this year's recipients, and they are Abigail Alvarez, Master of Science candidate in City and Regional Planning at Rutgers University, Bashra Khalili, PhD candidate in Civil Engineering with a focus on visual intelligence for transportation systems and smart cities at Columbia University, Meg Bahadur KC, PhD candidate in Civil Engineering at the State University of New York in Buffalo, Natalie Aramendia, Master of Science candidate in Urban Planning at Columbia University, Saba Usami, PhD candidate in Environmental Health Sciences with a focus on climate and health programs at Columbia University, and Sri Sai Snigdha Anantharaju, Master of Science candidate in Applied Science and Informatics at New York University. As we said hello to the incoming class of fellowship students, we bade farewell to the class of 2025 at a brown bag webinar on September 10th. The students shared the results of their studies along with their plans for their futures in the transportation field. We are eager to see the tremendous impact they will have, and we look forward to seeing their careers blossom. While we're on the subject of our brown bag webinars, we held 2 additional sessions this season. In October, we heard from Keith Kerman, Deputy Commissioner at the New York City Department of Citywide Administrative Services, or DCAS, and New York City's Chief Fleet Officer, who gave an overview of DCAS's Safe Fleet Transition Plan, which has led to the installation of more than 100,000 safety improvements to the city's fleet vehicles. Just last week, we heard from Susie Lai, Principal Engineer at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, who gave us an overview of the Newark Airport Station Access Project that will improve connectivity and reduce travel time to the airport for residents of Newark and Elizabeth. Our next webinar will be on December 10th, when we will hear from Tanvi Pandya, Executive Director of Design Build and Emergency Contracts for the Division of Bridges at New York City DOT, as she tells us about the impacts of the Way in Motion program being used on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. See you then. There's so much more I could mention, but if you follow us on social media, you already know about our meetings with representatives from Bangladesh and South Korea, or our conversations with our counterpart in Los Angeles, or our presentations to industry groups. You know about these because of the tremendous work being done by our social media team, and I'm so happy to share that their work has been recognized with a Stevie Award for Women in Business. This award is international in scope, making this bronze recognition that much more meaningful. Congratulations and thanks to Rosanna Weidekamp, Maura Fitzpatrick, Stephanie Brooks, Caroline Ibarra, and Sheila Enright for your tremendous contributions to our digital engagement. As I close my report, I want to thank the staff here at NYMTC, as well as our members, for all of your hard work. Your dedication and service to the people of New York City, Long Island, and the Lower Hudson Valley is, as always, very much appreciated. We will now listen to a presentation on the New York State Department of Transportation's U.S. Route 9 Preliminary Engineering Project, given by Jenny Baez, New York State DOT Project Manager, Scott Geiger, WSP Project Manager, and Katie Craig, WSP Deputy Project Manager. Jenny?
Thank you, Adam. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you great.
Perfect. So today we are going to walk you through how we are reimagining one of Westchester's most historic and challenging corridors, from the data collection, planning, and preliminary design process to the community collaboration that has shaped every step of the project. Next slide, please. So this is our roadmap for today. We'll start with an overview of the project. We'll touch on previous planning studies. We'll dive into the area history, and we'll talk about what it means to design a complete street. From there, we'll look at the process that guided our work, including the public involvement strategy. And after that, we will share how we developed and evaluated concepts and highlighting some of the proven safety countermeasures that we're applying, and then we'll wrap that up with the keys to the success for our project. Next slide, please. The goal of this presentation really is to summarize the collective effort needed to concurrence among the stakeholders. They were all interested in enhancing safety, improving multimodal, and improving connectivity, accessibility, environmental, and all within the Route 9 transportation corridor. To give you an idea of where this project is located, it's within Region 8, which is the Hudson Valley region of the Department of Transportation. The state is divided into 11 regional geographical locations, them being Region 8. This corridor spans from Pierce Avenue and Sleepy Hollow to the south, which is Tompkins Avenue in Hastings and Hudson, about 8 miles long. And the major intersection corridor are Bedford Road or Route 448, the New York State Thruway ramps or I-287, White Plains Road or Route 119, and Ashford Avenue. The ranges of speeds is between 25 and 40 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour being school zones. This is a very important corridor because the counties of Westchester and Rockland with the new Tappan Bridge, and it also serves as a connection for 5 Metro North Railroad stations, the B line, and the Lower Hudson Transit Link system. Next slide, please. This project builds on a strong foundation of planning studies and local visioning that preceded this project. In 2018, for example, the Route 9 Active Transportation Conceptual Design Plan was undertaken by the 5 river villages that span the project. It was funded through the New York Bridge Project Community Benefit Fund with the goal of promoting historic, culture, and natural resources of the villages. It also enhanced the goal was also to enhance access to the new Tappan Bridge and also to accommodate all modes of transportation and enhancing traffic safety. And the challenge we had here was to use New York State DOT required designs. And we also needed to identify what cross sections remained feasible within that available right of way to accommodate sidewalks, buffers, widths of traffic lanes, and also parking spaces. The next slide will dive into the history of this area. This corridor is rich in culture and historic resources. So with that, I'll hand it over to Scott, who will talk about the area history. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Good morning, everybody. As Jenny mentioned, this area of the Hudson Valley, Westchester County, along the river through the 5 river towns or villages, you can't overstate the amount of history. And if I had an hour to present this, I could do it just on the history. So real quickly, just like to bring up that, from Henry Hudson coming up the Hudson River in discovery through the settlement, the Dutch settlement in this area, the support of the Revolution, the French and Indian Wars, expansion for military needs, and eventually for travel through stagecoach. This corridor supported travel through Connecticut up to Boston and on up to Canada. So super rich history, and it's been ever evolving, which is a really good segue into the next slide, which is the next step in the evolution of Route 9 through these 5 river towns. So just what is a complete street? I guess the best way to state that is it's not a checklist. It's not a one size fits all. It's more like a process or a strategy and an expectation for an outcome considering context. So it's not going to be the same. You can go to the next slide. Not going to be the same if you're in New York City or if you're in Westchester County or if you're in upstate New York. Every town has its own context and its own history, but the key is context sensitivity. Underlying principle is the same, and that's safe, accessible, and welcoming for all. Design is going to reflect the surrounding environment, community needs, and the available right-of-way. Next slide. So this project follows New York State DOT's project delivery process. That provides a really nice structure, keep the project, on track from scoping through construction. As Jenny mentioned, this is a preliminary engineering project, so really focuses on the planning and the preliminary design process through NEPA and SEEKR. And it was important for us as a project team to continually mention this to our stakeholders as we went through the project, just to keep it on track and really set expectations and maintain expectations for what the outcome would be. Next slide. So preliminary engineering, step 1, existing conditions, corridor vision. Very important that we collect, understand the history, understand the previous studies, understand the needs and the future vision for each of the villages and the counties as a whole. And then the step 2 is to get in conceptual alternatives, which is really about the context and trying to be creative on how we can develop this roadway in a way that's going to meet all the needs, provide the complete street, and move it into the next phase of its evolution. Step 3 was the evaluation of concepts that passed. Step 2 become alternatives for consideration. They are evaluated against all the environmental, traffic, and other goals and objectives of the project that are created in step 1. And finally, when we get through that, we document in a design approval document, and we go again, I'll get into how we go through the process with the public through each one of these steps. Next slide. So segueing into that, here's the process with the public. This is a tried and true process where we, our first public meeting was our first elected officials meeting. We established a transportation partnering committee, about 20 or so individuals on that committee representing the 5 river villages. We held public workshops. Then we would take it through to individual stakeholders, and then in each phase of the project, we would repeat this cycle to ensure that all the stakeholders had understand the expectations. The TPC was a critical part of the development of that as we went through the workshops. So it was very critical that we followed. You'll see on the following slides, this little cycle will appear on each slide. Next slide. So step 1 is go ahead, Katie, I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem. So as Scott said, we're just going to give you a little bit of detail about each one of the steps that we went through, because honestly, Scott and I could probably talk for hours just about step one. It really is the most important step when you're doing these transportation projects. And we used a phased approach for step one. And that was really the first part, was documenting our existing conditions. So that's doing the desktop reviews, looking at the historical crashes, talking to the public, doing our traffic data collection. You know, the context of each one of these villages is very different. As you can see, just a sample of these two photos we have here. The first one is Sleepy Hollow in Tarrytown, where you have one travel lane in each direction, as well as parking on both sides of the roadways with sidewalks on both sides. The picture on the bottom is in the southern section of the corridor, the village of Hastings-on-Hudson. Much different context. You have a 4-lane section of roadway with only sidewalk on one side of the road, as well as these historical walls that line the corridor through these villages. We can't touch these walls, we can't move them, but you can see discontinuous sidewalk on the other side of the road. So it's not only looking at the desktop reviews, but it's also immersing yourself in this corridor, getting out there, walking the different segments. There was about over 10 schools in this corridor. So observing the many school arrivals and dismissals, how these students interact at the crosswalks, it's very different in the context of each one of these schools. So our step one in this first phase approach, it really isn't just about the data that's out there today. It's understanding how the corridor works for all the users. The second phase part of step one is developing your corridor vision, need, goals, and objectives. So this is a structured 4-part framework that we use in all of our New York State DOT projects. And it really helps us to set the foundation, and it sets the stage for every step of this transportation project. And again, you'll see we did, as Scott had described, this step with our TPC, our stakeholders, as well as the public in various different kinds of workshops. So first we set a vision, and this is establishing your big picture, your broad, what do you want the corridor to be? And then identifying the needs and prioritizing the needs in the corridor, not only as the project teams, but with our TPC and the public as well. And then the goals are shaped by the needs that articulate the desired outcome that we want to have for this project and this corridor. And then finally, we have our objectives, which make those abstract goals that we have more concrete into measurable and actionable. And the objectives are very important because this is going to be how we evaluate if our concepts really, pass the test and can be progressed. Just a little example of a worksheet that we use to help the TPC, the public, and ourselves prioritize the needs of the corridor. And one of the things that came out of the previous study Jenny talked about was when we started this project, we thought it was about putting in a dedicated bike lane on Route 9. But after we went through this first step, we really understood that this was a pedestrian safety enhancement project. Unfortunately, there were numerous fatalities in this corridors with vehicles and pedestrians. So this really helped us understand better what we needed to do and actually balance all the modes of transportation, in the corridor and not just focusing on dedicated bike lanes. So from our prioritized needs, we set our abstract goals, and our needs were safety, congestion, multimodal, geometrics, accessibility, connectivity. And those translated into our clear goals, our abstract ideas of enhancing corridor safety for all users, enhancing reliability and efficiency, providing that multimodal corridor, exploring innovative solutions such as roundabouts, improving access, especially to transit modes and key destinations in these historic river villages, and providing convenient, consistent facilities for all users and creating those missing links and the connectivity in the corridor. So next, from our goals, we identified our measurable objectives, and those were to apply proven safety countermeasures that reduce the total crashes for all modes of transportation in the corridor, implementing innovative ITS systems to reduce travel delays, ensuring that our balanced designs for all modes of transportations within our very constrained roadway footprint and making sure that we're accommodating all modes of transportation, enhancing pedestrian and bicycle connectivity throughout the corridor, trying to increase bus transit ridership, and developing a solution that minimizes the overall environmental impacts. So once we had our step one locked in, we were able to kickstart step two, our concept development. And our team chose to do this by using an innovative workshop. And what this really was for us was a one-day activity between WSP, our subconsultant HVEA, as well as members from New York State DOT's Region 8. And what this really does is it fosters creativity. It allows you to problem solve as a group and come up with collaborative ideas and strategies that help to think about, how you're going to implement different techniques throughout the corridor, as well as making it a friendly competition. We broke up everyone in these pictures into 5 groups and kind of, set the tone for whoever came up with the best solutions was the winner of the day. But the big part of this concept development is, no ideas are off the table. You're always going to have someone that comes up with a crazy idea of either tunneling the whole corridor, viaducting the whole corridor, but maybe their crazy idea is going to come out with thinking and strategies of, well, maybe we can't viaduct the whole area, but maybe there's a key location where grade separation may work. And that's kind of what we got out of this day. And it really helped us then to, after ruling out, our tunnels and our triple cantilevers, beams, and anything required that would require an EIS, was looking into a measurable objective, proven safety countermeasures. So we looked at the 28 proven safety countermeasures by FHWA. Our corridor did have over 100 intersections that we evaluated, and many of these had excessive delays as well as crash rates that were double or triple the statewide average. So what we really focused on was a few safety focus areas that these are grouped into, and those are pedestrian and bike type of countermeasures, intersection countermeasures, and cross cuttings. So we looked at dedicated bike lanes, road diets, medians, creating additional sidewalks or shared use path, pedestrian hybrid beacons, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and signal improvements such as things like leading pedestrian intervals, LPIs or LBIs. Some of our intersection countermeasures included roundabouts, providing left and right turn lanes where warranted, looking at access management. This corridor has, hundreds of commercial driveway locations throughout it. And then there's cross-cutting focus area, which really addresses multiple safety concerns. So an example of that would be lighting, where, Route 9, we would help to reduce nighttime vision and help reduce vehicle crashes, as well as improving visibility at crosswalk and transit locations throughout the corridor. So next, Scott is going to talk a little bit about some of these proven safety countermeasures and where we're implementing them.
Right, so just a couple examples. This is a section shows Irvington, constrained, as you can see, by historic stone walls, 4 narrow lanes, sidewalk on one side of the road, not on the other, no bicycle facilities. So we applied the countermeasure here of a road diet based on the traffic data, and we found that 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction would be sufficient. We were able to provide dedicated bike on both sides of the roadway, sidewalk on both sides of the roadway, really improve connectivity, reduction of speeds, and create, that complete street that we're looking for in this area. And again, I'll emphasize this is a preliminary design, so details about median treatments and landscaping and those things, you know, they're going to be applied as the lighting, as Katie mentioned, will be applied to all these different applications, but just for purposes of, you know, the broad safety countermeasure, this is what we came up with. Next slide. So here we are in Sleepy Hollow. This is too close at Bedford Road and Main Street. There's two close intersections here, closely spaced. We came up with a 2 roundabout design concept. You can see there's a roundabout in the foreground and out in the, you know, up at Bedford Road there. This allowed us in Sleepy Hollow to actually provide a shared use path completely, you know, all the way through Sleepy Hollow, around these roundabouts, really address the needs of the school, connectivity to local roads and businesses, and actually was really good for performance in terms of operational performance for vehicles. So reduce speeds again, pedestrian safety, all well documented benefits of roundabouts. Next slide. So here we are at Main Street in Terrytown. Obviously, a roundabout wouldn't be applicable here, but there are improvements that we can make to traditional signalized intersections that will really benefit safety, curb extensions, pushing parking back for site visibility and visibility of pedestrians. We were not able to provide dedicated bike lanes here or shared path, but we did have shared lanes where sharrows, where bikes could travel in a wider lane with dedicated pavement markings through this area. So lots of things we can do, different treatments throughout this corridor, all in the backdrop of these design challenges or constraints that we had to work with. And obviously you have existing grades, you had that, you know, make and right-of-way widths that make it difficult for ADA. We have on-street parking, which is always a balance between, you know, do we want to keep the parking for businesses? Do we want to open it up for dedicated bike and not have the parking? So working with stakeholders to achieve that balance is really, you know, the challenge here. All while we have just an abundant amount of historic and cultural resources through the corridor. You know, we have the transit as Jenny mentioned, where we have the train stations at each village and connectivity for pedestrians to access the train. And then we have the vehicles, and they have a need too, and that's congestion, which impacts pedestrian safety and everything else for that matter. So balancing all that was our challenge. Next slide. Right, so early on, again, here we are in step 2 with concept design. This is the intersection I just showed with Bedford Road and Beekman Ave. And, you know, this is what it looks like in concept before you get into the next phase of, you know, vetting these through feasibility and looking at grades and, you know, right-of-way constraints and everything else to see if it's even feasible. But this was what came out as step 2. Next slide. And then here, as I mentioned, once you get to those concepts, we have to vet these through the geometric, horizontal and vertical feasibility, the right-of-way footprint, operational performance metrics, safety performance, environmental impact, you know, the cultural and historic resources, the businesses, and are they constructible? Is it possible to even build this type of thing under these traffic conditions? And I'll get to in a minute the phasing and delivery. And of course, the cost is always important. Next slide.
Yep.
Katie?
So as Scott said, the evaluation of our alternatives, one of the things that was important for us was to do a detailed microsimulation traffic model. So you're looking at here the software we use, PTV Vissim. We created a model for each one of our 5 villages, and this really allows us to test and visualize how our proposed concepts that included roundabouts, signal coordination, ITS technologies, road diets would actually impact our traffic operations at a microscopic detail. Microscopic detail allows us to simulate individual driver behavior, such as car following, lane changing, how vehicles yield. It allows us to understand how the vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists are all going to interact together in these constrained spaces that we have. VISM also gives us the flexibility so that we can model unique geometries like roundabouts and multimodal treatments that really some of our traditional, more analytic or deterministic tools cannot do. And finally, what you're looking at now, the visualization, the 3D animations that we can create from our traffic models allow us to communicate our results to more non-technical audiences, our village boards, TPCs, the public, and maybe even some agency reviewers in a way that's easy for them to understand. Within these models, we also show our existing conditions, and then typically we'll show these and how they compare to each other. So what our models really showed was, just for us, it gave us confidence in that what we thought would happen did happen, is that these roundabouts helped reduce delays, improve travel times, and that, we were able to meet those measurable objectives that we set in step 1 of this project. So finally, step 4 was our deliverables, and those are the design approval documents in the New York State DOT process. And that for us included a draft design report as well as a 30% plan that went along with that. And one of the things our draft design report does is it outlines 6 logical corridor segments that can be advanced into final design for future construction. And you can see here in this figure that this phasing approach, it kind of lended itself towards the 5 villages. Some villages have more than one segment in them, but it gave us the flexibility for funding and also minimizing disruptions during construction. And not only that, but each one of these segments could be progressed as an individual project, as they do provide independent utility, and they can stand alone as a meaningful project that would each meet all of the objectives that we set in step 1. And again, you'll see here, our little figure up in the right-hand corner. All of these steps we did with our TPC, the public, as well as individual stakeholders. And really our key to success here was we followed kind of a 4Ds framework, which aligned with our steps. Discover is immersing yourself in the local context and the data of your project. Devise in step 2 is creating that framework of solutions through collaboration, such as our innovative workshop. Step 3, distill, is where we refine and evaluate those concepts into alternatives, including getting that feedback and public input. And finally, step 4, delivering. And our draft design report, it is still up and available on the project website. And it really did mirror a data-driven, context-sensitive, kind of ready to be progressed into final design report and plan. So that is all we had for today. I'm sorry if we went over 20 minutes. It was kind of hard to fit in. But if there's any questions, or Stephanie, if you want to take back over.
Great presentation, really informative and a really cool project. So thank you for sharing that. And I agree, certainly could have gone a lot longer and we would have had a lot more questions, I'm sure. But let's see if we have any questions right now. Rosanna, any questions from the meeting site? I'm sorry, wait, let's go to the members. Do the members have any questions about the presentation? All right, good. Hearing none. How about from? Craig. Oh, yeah, we do. It seems like we have a hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to thank NYSDOT and the project team from USP. As Westchester's voting rep, I have been involved in this project, and I think they did a tremendous job in terms of the entire process, the outreach, the amount of people that actually attended the public meetings and participated in the charrettes, the thoughtful approach to design and the final recommendations. So I just wanted to publicly commend everyone on a job well done, and we look forward to seeing the implementation move forward.
Thank you for the kind words, Greg.
Thank you, Craig. Other questions or comments from the members?
Just wanted to note in the chat, we don't have questions yet, but I did put a link to the report. The final design report is on the DOT website for the project. So if people wanted to download that and take a look, it's available.
It's still in draft format. We are finalizing it.
But all the workshop information, the summaries, the boards, everything we presented, it's all on the website.
And I just want to also acknowledge Stephanie and the FHI team that work on public outreach. They too are very much responsible for the manner in which the public events took place and how successful they were.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. I was going to say the same thing. Thank you, Stephanie and team.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Scott, I might take you up on that hour-long presentation just on the history at some point in the future, but thank you to you, Jenny, and Katie, and the FHI team on that great presentation. So we're going to move on to
everybody.
Yeah, we're going to move. Thank you again. We're going to move on to the next item on our agenda. We'll now begin the public participation segment of this meeting. We will hear from registered speakers with prepared remarks. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to give their remarks. We will hear from these participants in the order they have registered. We ask that all speakers limit their comments to relevant transportation and planning related items. Rosanna, are there any registered speakers for today's meeting?
Hi, Adam. Yes, we have one registered speaker, and that is Peter McCart, Director of Energy Conservation and Sustainability from the Office of the Westchester County Executive.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to the Route 9 thank yous. This came out of, I'm a strong advocate for alternative transportation. I worked on getting complete streets passed. We passed it here in Westchester, and it was very shortly thereafter New York State actually passed it too. So I was a big proponent of pushing that. Out of that, because of that, I with Sustainable Westchester, I'm a founding board member there, we decided to hold kind of informational presentations around the county. We did 3 of these, and one of them was for the river towns. And out of that meeting, a bunch of volunteers, they said, anybody want to stay afterwards? We want to talk about something else. And that was about the Route 9 corridor and really doing something about it. So I really want to just thank the volunteers that came out of that, especially Andy Ratskin and Dan Kavisser. And they were working on this. I've been working on this for 4 or 5 years. I maybe even longer. It definitely longer as I think about it now. And I just want to thank them. And this is one of those opportunities or projects where it came from the ground up. And it came from volunteers and people that wanted to do it. And I want to thank the DOT for taking it on, and it's coming to fruition. It's pretty exciting for the people who live along there, and it's going to be an economic boost as well as just saving lives. Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you, Peter. Rosanna, that's our only registered speaker, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Then we will now begin with the action items on our agenda. All material related to these action items has been posted on the NYMTC website at www.nymtec.org. The first action is to accept the August 21st, 2025 meeting synopsis. I ask all voting members to announce your name and the agency you represent when you make a motion or second a motion. May I have a motion to accept the August 21st, 2025 meeting synopsis?
Motion, Connor Clark, Department of City Planning.
Thank you. May I have a second? Can anyone second that motion?
Second, Barbara.
Second, Pat Curtin, Rockland County.
Thank you. Does anyone object to the motion? Hearing no objections, the meeting synopsis is accepted. Thank you all. The next action item is to adopt resolution number 605, amendments to the state fiscal year 2024-2025 Unified Planning Work Program. I will now ask Setu Allen to introduce this resolution. Setu?
Hey, excuse me. Good afternoon, everyone. So this PFAC resolution involves 2 main actions. The first action is a request by New York City DOT to include a new study into the work program called the 14th Street Vision Plan Study. The other action is Suffolk County is requesting to add continuing studies to the work program. These are studies that were initially programmed in the 24-25 UPWP that are being brought into the 25-26 UPWP with the balance of unspent funds. Neither of these actions include the request for new funding, and NYMTC staff request that you adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Setu. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 605, amendments to the state fiscal year 2024-25 Unified Planning Work Program?
Motion, Pat Gurdon, Rockland County.
Thank you, Pat. May I have a second?
Second, Paul Chua, New York City DOT.
Thank you, Paul. Is there any discussion? Okay, we will now vote by roll call, starting with the Lower Hudson Valley, Putnam County.
Aye.
Rockland County.
Aye.
Westchester County.
Aye.
Thank you. And Long Island, Nassau County.
Aye.
Suffolk County. Chris Chatterton, who cannot unmute, do you vote aye? In the chat? Aye, great, thank you. And thank you, John. New York City Department of Transportation.
Aye.
Thank you. New York City Department of City Planning.
Aye.
Thank you. And finally, Metropolitan Transportation Authority.
Aye.
And New York State Department of Transportation.
Aye.
Thank you all. The motion passes. The next PFAC meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026, and details of this meeting will be made available 2 weeks prior to the meeting date. To conclude today's meeting, I ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Nassau County, Joe Cuomo, aye. Makes motion.
Thank you, Joe. May I have a second?
Second, Kirk Later, Westchester County.
Thank you. Does anyone object to the motion? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.